Hello everyone, this is Heather Hoffman and I'm here to share a fun new hot foil plate from Pink Fresh Studio. This is the double-sided hot foil plate. It's called Swiss Dots, and as you can see there's one side that has some dots that are closer together and one side where they're spaced out a little more. This is a double-sided plate, so you've got everything on both sides. So we're going to start with that side with the finer, close together dots. I've already heated my hot foil machine, my Spellbinders Glimmer, and I've preheated the die on there. My timer went off, so I went ahead and popped that loose from my machine. I've added my foil pretty side down onto the die, and then my cardstock over the top. And let's take a peek now that that's run through my machine. And there we have that beautiful background, and there's that reverse piece. We're also going to foil that today using the solid hot foil plate. And I'm going to grab my magnetic tool here real quick, and we're just going to flip this over. The great thing is now that this plate's already hot, it's not going to take as long to preheat for the next one. And once I ran my timer through real quick there when my machine was ready, I'm going to just repeat that same process of adding my foil, my cardstock, running it through my machine. When I'm hot foiling with a hot foil plate, I prefer just to run it through my machine once. I don't reverse and run it through because I feel like I get more haloing or over foiling that way. And there we go, another perfectly foiled image. And again, I'm going to save that reverse foil, and we're going to use that with the solid hot foil plate that you now see sitting on the machine there. So I'm going to grab that leftover foil from the last one. I'm going to set it, again, pretty side down on that solid hot foil plate, and then put my cardstock over the top, and then my two plates. And then I also have a cardstock shim, just 100-pound cardstock in the middle for a little bit of additional pressure with that solid hot foil plate. And when I'm using that, I also like to run it through my machine forwards and backwards just to give it a little more pressure, a little more time for it to be in contact with that heat. I've just found I get better results when I do that. So let's put that back on so it can preheat to do the other one. And then let's peel off. And there is that beautiful reverse foiled image. Don't you just love that result? And let's put the two of those side by side so you can see the original and the reverse, and you get two very different looks. And you're not wasting all of that beautiful foil that would just be left over and go in the trash otherwise. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing with the other side of, with the leftover from the other side of that double-sided foil plate. And once again, everything's preheated. I'm just gonna run it through my die cut machine one more time. That's my Spellbinders die cut machine that works perfectly with the Glimmer hot foil machine. And there it goes forward, and we're going to pull it back and then pop that out, and then we'll set, get that pulled off, and then I'm just going to set aside my hot foil machine to dry, or not to dry, to cool off my hot foil machine. And there's the original and the reverse of that as well, so you can see those two side by side. All right, I'm going to grab the nested rectangles dies. I love that largest size because it's perfectly sized for an A2 card. I could trim this down with a paper trimmer. I just found it's a little easier to use this rectangle die because I can center it and get all of that hot foiling perfectly in the middle of that A2 card size. So to me, it's just kind of a quick step saver. So there's that die cut, and you have a perfect A2 panel for your card front. And thanks to the magic of video and fast forward, I went ahead and repeated that step with all of those panels, the foiled and reverse foiled images. And now we have all of those sitting there, and let's go ahead and combine them together to create our cards. I have some additional pieces that I've pre-die cut to have ready there. So we have the stitched scallop circle. I cut that largest one and the smallest one with some matte foil that coordinated with my hot foiling. And then I have a bunch of pre-cut washi die pieces. That first one I pulled out is the artistic dahlias, and then I have the tuberose. And those are both our wide washi that comes with the coordinating dies. So I rolled those out, put them on cardstock, and pre-die cut to have lots of those to work with. And then we have the foiled Sentiments 5 that I'm going to use. And I've separated out all the gold options of that because since I have gold foiling and gold die cut frames, I'm just going to stick with one of those options for Sentiments. I haven't picked which one yet, so I got them all out so we could look at them all and decide which one we want to use. All right, I'm going to stack together because I want to just do some angled cutting to be able to combine these together on my cards. So I'm making sure I've lined them up just perfectly there. Make sure they're connected together and they're perfectly square. And then I just kind of picked a random angle. I'm going to cut through both of those at the same time. A little bit scary, but Now I can separate those out and use one of the reverse and one of the original. I'll set the others aside and I can repeat and create another card later, mixing and matching those same pieces and just reversing it. So there's that combined together. Going to do something similar with this one. I'm just changing the direction and the angle ever so slightly, making it a little bit of a deeper cut. Again, no rhyme or reason or anything specific. I just kind of eyeballed it until I felt like I was happy with how it was, and I just wanted to have a little bit of difference and variation in those as I created them. All right, so there is the second one. So you can see that one of them I put the reverse at the bottom and one at the top. These are A2 panels, so you could easily rotate them around and change that if you wanted. All right, and then I have those scallops, and I decided I'm going to split that instead of just putting it in the middle. It's fun to kind of think out of the box with your die cut pieces. So I'm going to cut that large circle in half. Now, just to make note, those are two separate pieces, but they kind of hold together somewhat, especially if you put adhesive on the back. So you can separate and use one or the other, or color block them, or pop one up on foam and leave one down, but I'm just leaving them connected for this card. But I'm going to cut them in half and put one at the top and bottom, kind of to frame the card. And then the smaller one, I'm just going to center over the top, kind of where that dividing line is between the pieces. All right, we're going to skip forward a little bit here. I have now adhered my base pieces onto my A2 card bases. And then those scallop circle frames, I went ahead and popped those up with foam and put them on the backgrounds. So now we're just arranging all of those fun washi pieces around on the front of the card. I love how quickly these are going to come together with that. So I'm kind of choosing them based on that. For this, the card on the left there, you notice I'm choosing the sentiment. I picked that before I started arranging my florals because I was trying to decide how I wanted them all to fit in there. And once I got that sentiment in there, it was pretty easy to kind of decide, yeah, I kind of want those florals to come in from the side and kind of at a fun little bit of an angle. That first card, I went ahead and arranged my florals, and then in a few minutes here, I'll pick the sentiment to go on there, and I base that more on how the florals fit around that frame instead of the other way around. But I'm just going to kind of wiggle. I like to lay them out, kind of pick what colors I like, pick which ones I prefer, mix and match them until I'm kind of happy with the arrangement. And then after we've done that, then I can go ahead and adhere those down. And I kind of debated on tucking a little one here. In the end, I ended up grabbing one that didn't have a stem on it and just kind of tucking it under the sentiment and kind of on that dividing line. At first, I had a different plan, but once you start laying things together, it's a little easier to kind of decide how you want to do things. So there you can see, that's when I made the decision that, oh, this is what I want to tuck in there. So just play until you're happy with the arrangement. That's my best advice, especially with the washi. It's so easy to move it around and just get it placed where you want it. And then you can adhere everything down once you're happy with that placement and everything. So, and here we go, the decision on which sentiment to use over here. I played with a couple of larger ones and I liked those, but at the end, I ended up liking that little bit smaller that kind of fit a little off center on the side. All right, we skipped ahead. I used some liquid glue to adhere all those down. You can see I tucked a little more under that one on the right. And those cards are finished. Lots of shine and lots of fun with that new double-sided hot foil plate called Swiss Dots. Thanks so much for coming by today. Have a wonderful day.